Hello everyone! Today I'm going to rank some of the most popular romantic tropes and we can have a little discussion about what is great about romance, what is not so great, what is working, what is not working, and blah blah blah. You know, let's talk about love. So we have 5 categories. The top one is my absolute favorite, those kind of tropes that are almost always work well and are really cool to read. Then next are I love it, which are tropes I usually like. It's okay, it's like, okay, you know, it could be done well. Meh, it's tropes that usually wouldn't attract my attention, and it just has to be written very compellingly and very originally so that I like it. The sleeping one is just the tropes that I find kind of boring. Just keep in mind that this is very general because any trope can be done well. Really everything depends on the execution. Like if some author has written a very good story, it doesn't really matter the tropes. Okay, let's start. So I will start with unrequited love. Wait. I love it actually. It's, well, assuming the main characters will fall in love at the end, assuming that if all the stories end up well, okay, because we're talking about romance, we're not talking about drama and tragedy, but just the idea that like one of them is super in love and the other one doesn't want him, it's so painful. But I think that's why I like it. There's so much pining and there's so much frustration, and most of the time there's so much unspoken words, there's so much like build up tension, which is great. Or for example, if one of them confesses and is rejected and it's just so dramatic. I love it if it's done well, right? And then there is forbidden love. Forbidden love for me, it's top tier. Because when they want to be together but there is something in their way, especially if it's kind of like a fantasy and there is like they're on the opposite sides of some kind of a war, or their families are in conflict and they have to hide and they have to find a way to be together. I mean, all those secrets that can be built around it, that could make up for really cool tension again. Also, it naturally has more conflict, right? Because it's forbidden, they cannot be together. So they have to figure out a way to overcome these obstacles. Like there's much more external obstacles to their relationship, and that creates opportunities for more interesting plots, for more interesting conflicts. You know, it's not just like, oh, miscommunication, oh, misunderstanding, or my ex came back and said something, blah, blah, blah. This can really have a strong plot and a strong conflict. And also they could like work together in order to overcome these problems, which it's an interesting way to show their relationship. Like, how are they going to work together? Maybe they're gonna argue about the way things should progress. Maybe one of them says, oh, I really want to be with you, but I don't want to break the law, so let's split up. And the other's like, no, let's run away together or something like that. So yeah, I think this is one of my top favorites. And then like love triangle is meh. I mean, it's still like not boring. It's just like it's rarely done well. Like sometimes since the beginning you kind of already know who she's gonna end up with, or he, or whoever is the top of the triangle. I feel like it's most of the time I don't like it. But there could be exceptions, okay? It could create some interesting drama. As you see, I like the conflict and the drama and the tension and the relationship building up. And so if the love triangle is some kind of interesting obstacle rather than, oh, there's so many men in love with me, who shall I choose, you know? Yeah. So let's see, friends to lovers. Okay, friends to lovers, it's okay. I mean, I like friends to lovers, but it's a bit more wholesome, a bit more cutish usually, maybe less interesting. I mean, if they're already established friends at the beginning of the story, like they already have this relationship built, so it's more like, oh, who is going to confess first, who is going to realize their feelings first. But it's more like already established relationship that is changing from one state to the other. It's usually more cute-ish in a way. Unless there's some kind of big drama. There could be big drama, but I don't know. It's usually not so dramatic. So, but like if it's real life, if it's like contemporary romance, it feels perfect, right? It's so natural, like it's natural progression of a relationship. But since I like more complicated plots, I feel like it's not complicated enough. But I like it, and it could be like, it could be done really well. Then there is the soulmate, and the soulmate, it depends. I say it's okay. Why? Because usually the problem with soulmates is sometimes they meet and there is this instant attraction, or it's very easily for them to get together because they're meant to be. Also like fated mates. I just don't like when okay, that's the next one. It's insta love. So insta love for me, it's boring. I understand that sometimes people just want to skip this getting to know each other phase, and people just meet and they're already so deeply connected and so much in love and blah blah. But if you're gonna make it just friends to lovers. I feel like this is better. Like they already know each other, and maybe in the beginning of the book they decide to date and to develop their relationship. For me, this is more believable because there was some time of getting knowing each other. But just to see somebody be like, oh my god, I love you. Wait a minute, like let's just talk maybe a bit. I don't know. I understand like instant attraction, like, oh, you're so sexy. You know, that I understand. Instant lust or infatuation. Or maybe if the characters are very young, like teenage love could feel like so dramatic, like, oh, I saw this hot guy or this vampire and I'm immediately deeply in love with him. But, you know, it feels a bit childish, this kind of love. A bit immature, a bit too sudden. I guess it could be done well somehow. I don't know. The soulmates and the fated mates. It's a good setup for insta love because you can say, oh yeah, they fell in love so quickly because they were meant to be. I mean, if it's a subplot, I mean, if there is like a big story and the romance is kind of a subplot and not the main focus, for example, I don't know, a hero goes to fight the dragon and he meets another woman warrior and they're meant to be and they get together and the journey goes on. Okay, fine. But if the romance is the main focus and it's just insta love, I don't know. But you know, some people love it. I have a friend who really likes it. So, to each their own. For me, give me the drama. Give me the drama. So, slow burn. Slow burn is superb. That's my thing. I love slow burn. The slowest, the best, the better. Please, just give me the pining, the 5 books until they even learn their names. I don't know. I mean, I love the slow burn because this is really what kind of allows for a relationship to grow. It's just so much more interesting to me. Especially like if you mix a bit, like if you mix unrequited love with slow burn and forbidden love, like make something of those 3. Like one of them doesn't like the other because it's forbidden, but they secretly like it, but they wouldn't admit it. And the other one is like super in love, but they wouldn't admit it. And they're secretly like each other, but they wouldn't admit it and stuff. Yeah, I like that. Or like they don't trust each other from the beginning and they have to get to know each other and blah, blah. So I think here I'm just gonna put enemies to lovers here because it's in the same line of thought, let's say. Enemies to lovers is also superb. No wonder like so many people like enemies to lovers because it gives you the opportunity for this slow burn. It cannot be insta love. You don't like each other, you hate each other, right? You have to really go through a process of change, and I think that's the most exciting thing about enemies to lovers because it's the relationship that gives most progress and most change. Because friends to lovers, the step they have to take a smaller. Like they already like each other. It's just like a switch to romantic feelings. Insta love is just like, oh, I already like you. It's just so quickly. They can have complication afterwards. Like when they get together, they have to get to know each other and get used to each other, and their life could get complicated. I mean, you can mix forbidden love with insta love, and then it's getting interesting. Like, oh, we are soulmates, we really want to be together, but we are on the opposite sides of this conflict, and we are forbidden of being each other. So I feel like if you mix some of those tropes, you can get a really cool stuff, right? But if you put enemies to lovers, slow burn, forbidden, that's like my perfect story over there. But really for enemies to lovers, right? No, I secretly like you, but you offended me yesterday. They should really think ill of each other. Like they should really, or maybe one of the characters, it's really an asshole at the beginning and they change. The other day I was watching Pride and Prejudice and I was thinking again why is this story so compelling after so many years? It has a little bit of all those tropes I like. Partially it's forbidden love because, I mean, for him she's like below his status, so he's kind of I shouldn't like you. Then there is the unrequited love, but I like you actually. But she doesn't like him, so she sees him more like an enemy, even though like, it's not actually an enemy, but she's kind of, I don't like you. And there's the slow burn when she realizes she's wrong. This is all cool stuff. There's so much character development, and they both learn stuff. They both see their own flaws. Like, it's just textbook romance, okay? It has all the good stuff. Nowadays, it's more like, oh, let's get to bed as soon as we can. Let's make the book as spicy as we can. But I don't know. Like, the spice without fire, it's just, I don't know. It's not my preferred thing. Let's move on. Fake dating. Fake dating, it's okay. It gives a lot of opportunity for forced proximity. People like trying to act like they like each other. So they're forced to be together. They're forced in a curious situations, let's say. Fake dating is good for like comedies because it gives really a lot of opportunity for absurd situation, funny situation, uncomfortable situations, about miscommunication, but done in a fun way. I mean, it could be done in a fantasy setting, but I think in fantasy setting, it's more like arranged marriage, which I actually like more. I like more arranged marriage than fake dating because then the stakes are higher. Fake dating, it seems more unserious. Like we pretend to be together for a party, but everybody goes home. But arranged marriage means like you have to be with this person. You have to marry them. You have to live with them. And maybe you don't know them or you hate them if it's like enemies to lovers, arranged marriage. I feel like because the stakes are higher and because the forced proximity, it's even more prominent. Like you are part of the same family. It's just more interesting. But fake dating, I really think it's more like contemporary romance, romantic comedy material. So yeah, I like it, but sometimes I feel it's done so many times that I'm kind of a bit tired of this trope. I want to see it done maybe in a bit more interesting ways. I don't know. And then there is second chance. Second chance, let's put it in I love it. Because second chance is like they were lovers before they were together and they broke apart, which means they have a history together. There is some kind of a past and there is some kind of unspoken feelings maybe. So it has again more conflict, so it's more interesting, I think. Also, I like the idea of a second chance, of a person trying to fix their mistakes or, I don't know, realizing that they did something wrong, or I just like this. I think this is a more mature romance, more grown-up romance. It works better for couples which are older, that have been through shit and now they're coming together. Usually this kind of romances give me more feels. Like, for example, fake dating is more like funny and lighthearted usually and has like the butterfly, like, oh, did they hold hands? But second chance romance is like, oh, he's hiding something, what happened in the past, especially if you don't know from the beginning what happened to separate them and you're like, oh, what's going on. It's usually there's like a lot of hurt feelings, and yeah, I like it. Let's go with bad boy good girl stuff. Nah. Why? I mean, everybody loves a bad guy, you know, like there's something attractive about this trope, like the arrogant dude. I mean, In real life, just run from those guys, okay? But in fiction, it's just like, oh well, there's something attractive about them. I would not deny it. But the problem is, like, I don't like it when the girl is like so good and she's going to fix him. I would prefer, like, if he was a bad guy and she was a bad girl and they were like a messy pair, but somehow they work it out. I feel like this bad boy, good girl is just, it feels like such an old trope. It's done to death and I'm tired of it, really tired of it. The other one that is bad girl, good boy, it's more interesting, so I'd say it okay, because it's kind of flipping the tables and I like that. Just to see the dynamic being reversed, like maybe she's the arrogant, rich woman that hates everyone, but he's the sunshine boy. But it's just that I just don't like, now let's go to Grumpy Sunshine, and I'm just gonna say it's boring. Because I'm tired. It's cute. The dynamic, it's always cute when you have the grumpy one and the funny one. But it's just like, I'm just so tired of it, okay? I just want to see different dynamics. Also, it feels like if you're such a positive person, paired with such a grumpy, maybe negative person, is it really a good match? I mean, yeah, opposites attract and it's funny, you can learn about each other and stuff like that. But I don't know, it feels like the moment I see this kind of pairing, no matter if the girl is the grumpy one or the guy is the grumpy one, it feels like I've already seen that. It just feels too repetitive. But some people love it. Some people just have a weak spot for it, the way I have a weak spot for enemies to lovers. So, I mean, I'll never get tired of this. Now we have secret identity. I'm gonna put it in I love it. It means like one of them is, I don't know, is a prince in disguise or an assassin in disguise or a vampire in disguise. It's fun because it usually means that one of them or maybe both of them have, again, some secrets and there's some complication and it could move the plot in interesting ways. Because if somebody has a secret identity, it means that there's somebody unusual, you know, somebody with an interesting past or an interesting abilities, and that's always interesting. interesting. Even if it's just the most popular, like, I don't know, the prince going to a trip and falling in love with the ordinary girl, it's still like she's then taken out of her comfort zone and she has to face his world. Or if he's like a secret assassin, it gives a bit like the fish out of water for the other character who is have to enter the world of the person they like. And also there is like the secret, so there's always a bit more of conflict, like what's going to happen when the other one discovers the secret identity and stuff like that. Actually, I like romantic stories, so I feel like I don't have any trope I really dislike, unless maybe if the man is being super possessive and obsessive. But I haven't put that here. I don't know how to call it. Obsessive boyfriend trope. It's gonna be like in a special category of its own, a category of this is not romantic. It's creepy. But I don't know. Some people like that. If they like it, why not? Enjoy whatever you like. I mean, it's fiction. Oftentimes, people are like, oh, why do you like the bad guys or the shadow daddies or all those creeps? I mean, it's because it's fiction and everyone wants to experience something different in fiction, right? Doesn't mean that they want that in real life. Remember, most people realize the difference. Yeah, but maybe we shouldn't put creeps in young adult. I feel like young adult should have a bit more positive examples. Anyway, maybe I'll make another video when we can discuss more about romantic tropes or romantic genres or romantic books or whatever. If you have any suggestions, if you want to talk more about this subject, let me know. I made this video because now it's like February, which is the month of love. Now I'm going to record a tier ranking of my favorite fantasy tropes. So that's gonna come next week, I guess. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, let me know, leave me a like, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye!